Hello everyone, it's BossJones here, back for an episode of Space Engineers. This is number 4 of our Search for Intelligent Life series that I've been doing the last month and a half. Probably wondering what's happened, where I've been. Actually, probably don't care. But I'm going to let you know anyways. I had a bit of a crash happen on my computer. At the same time, Satisfactory came out, and I spent a couple weeks working on that and came back to do a recording, and something happened in my Space Engineers save and I lost it. So that was about 2 weeks ago. And I thought, well, rather than recording myself doing all the nitty gritty, I thought I would build a base and get us happening. And this is a bit of a cluster mess. Don't get me wrong, it's not fancy. I got wind spires and a mass of refineries. There's 8 refineries. I'll give you a little bit of a tour here in a second, and we'll jump down to where I was at and what I was hoping to do in this video, and I'll show you it all. So without further ado, let's get into seeing what BossJones has been doing on Space Engineers. Because I'm not intelligent, so I'm hoping there's some way out there in space. Oh, there's the planet and the sun. Alright. So I started off and I got a drop in this bland kind of wheat field. I did the typical mining doom hole to get my stone and stuff that I needed. And then started building up the typical base that you would build in Space Engineers. This is my gravel ejector, by the way. So it started off with, hand digging your basic stuff, battery, assembler H2O2. So this plant has a med bay. It's got a bunch of wind spires. I've got 3 H2O2 generators, 3 H2 engines, 8 refineries, fully yielded out. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 assemblers. And I've kind of tried to make it look like home, but not get carried away making a massive base, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be leaving this place to go up to the space. Unfortunately, with losing my save, I lost the MHT. I plan on building a ship printer for it. I've tried experimenting around in a creative world, and I can't seem to make it work on Earth, so we're going to build ourselves a little basic ship here on Earth and head off to space and build it in space. Or I might get ballsy and decide to build a big massive ship printer out in this field and see if I can make something not clangy. But I've got a little car here I built. It's nothing fancy, just some storage. Got a heavy-duty bumper on the front. I've got a miner here. I got lots of thrust on it. I got 2 large tanks. And when I'm going out mining, I don't like to be there and back and there and back. When I go out mining, I want to get a load. Partially why I have the 8 refineries. Just hang on a second here. We'll go check out the inventory here. I've been working on this for a while. I've got a decent stockpile of gold, cobalt, silver, nickel, silicon, and iron. Probably could use a little bit more iron. Actually, I can guarantee we're going to need more iron. And then I built a little button pedestal here. This is for recording mode. It turns the refineries on and off because they're loud and obnoxious. I've got into using these event controllers. So what we have is 4 event controllers. This one is if the gas tanks have less than a certain amount, they turn on off the generator engines. This one here allows them to turn on if there's enough hydrogen. This one here is based on the battery storage, high and low limits. So that's the basis of this base. It's pretty compact. I used the interior plates. Not sure if I'm sold on them, but I thought I'd try it out because apparently they use less iron to get your base started. Welding them out, I don't know if it's the same way, but I know getting the basic interior plates to lay the wireframes is cheaper than steel plates. But we'll hop in the truck and we're going to go down and see actually what I spent most of my time building. Batteries on, connector off, brake off. We'll just go for a drive in first person maybe. Down to the lake. Now, as in my videos before, the last 3, I put a bit of effort into making sure that the stuff I was building down on the ice lake for my hydrogen projection looked good. I've kind of done the same thing here too. The base is the base, but the ice and the hydrogen production I wanted to turn out and look snazzy, so pretty much I decided that since the last world crashed because of mods, this world is modless. I don't have any of the mods installed. Drift into here and park. So, like before, I've got the tank farm for the hydrogen. I've got the hydrogen generators. I put these little smokestacks on them, just like I did before. Same idea. Wanted to make sure that this video took off from where I left off before. Only difference is I don't have the big ice mining pit, so I've got a rotary miner here. And then in this building, I've got my hydrogen engines. So I've got the hydrogen engines, some heat vents on the front, so when they're running, they glow red. Now, in kind of getting the refineries built, this thing has actually done everything it needed to do, so it's just sitting here idle, but it's fully automated. This is a rotary miner, pistons and a rotor, rather than the hinge one that I did last time. So the way this works is I got these event controllers here. This first one, if the cargo is full, over 90%, it triggers a timer block for cargo full, and that is this timer block. So what this does is shuts the rotor off, shuts the drills off, stops it from spinning, stops the drills from mining using power up. Obviously the next one in the sequence is going to be cargo low. So when the chest is full of or less than 70% of ice, it does the same thing. Turns the drills on and turns the rotor back on. That's that. This third, and I've color coded them too this time, so I got like that sandy red. This event controller is the drill rotate. So this is what tells those pistons to extend. So when the angle is changed equal or greater to 359.9, you don't use 360. It never hits 360, it goes 359.9 and then turns to 0. Then it selects the action of the drill extend. That's this timer block here. So what this does is it turns on the pistons, and the pistons are set to move a 0.5 meter per second. and this one goes drill extend start. So this starts the timer rather than triggering it. And that's this guy right here. After 1 second, it shuts the pistons off, just like the hinge miner. When the hinge used to hit an angle, it would push the pistons out. That was the way I did it in the other world. I haven't changed. It's the same thing. When the thing has done its round, it extends the pistons out and then shuts them off a second later. And this guy right here is pretty much my stopper for when the pistons hit maximum. So when the pistons hit 100%, they also do the same. Cargo full, shut the pistons down, shut the rotor down. What I didn't have in the previous world was engine and H2O2 control. So I've got 2 event controllers here. This one is when there's less than 50% of the battery, it turns the engines on. When there's more than 90%, it turns the engines off. Pretty basic stuff. This one up here, though, is my fail-safe. And this is when there's less than 2.5% hydrogen in the tanks. It does the same thing. It shuts the engines off. This event controller is to do with the H2O2. So this says the batteries are greater than 5%. It's safe to run the H2O2. And that pretty much just turns on the H2O2. This guy up here is for when the gas tanks are full. If the gas tanks are over 90%, we shut off the H2O2. That's this timer block. Timer block for H2O2 off, timer block for H2O2 on. And this guy is when the gas tanks have less than 5% to trigger on the H2O2s. So there's a bit of a sequencing thing going on here. And it took me a bit to figure this out and set it all up. I didn't want to use any scripts because I want this to work with PlayStation or with Xbox. But yeah, so that's where we are. So when the H2O2s need to run, this is kind of cool. So we'll just go into this here. We'll get that timer block. H2O2 on. I'm just going to trigger now. So they turn on and they smoke. And make hydrogen. And let's go back to that timer block. I always like to leave timers so I can search these. H2O2 off. Trigger now. They shut off. That's that. The engines are the same deal. I'll just use this to find the timer block for that. Engines on. Trigger now. Here they fire up. They sound like a diesel even though they're running on hydrogen. And they smoke. Now, these aren't doing anything because there's not much load demand. So let's just trigger on the H2O2 timer. Everything's running. You can see these run and they glow. They're all based on the amount of electricity being used, unfortunately, not the fact that the unit is running. Probably change that, maybe. But yeah. So this is what the plant looks like when it's running. I got a little flare stack out. I'll go into the aesthetics in a second here. Just want to go back to these timers and turn everything off. Oops. I want that timer off. Engine off, trigger now. H2O2 off, trigger now. And it's quiet again. So I try to do a fair bit with the aesthetics. The last world I had used Splitsy's Scrapyard mod, and I think some of his builds in that Scrapyard mod are just amazing. But trying to keep a stable game going with my crappy Intel 14700, I wanted to not run the risk of losing this world again, because I've got about 2 weeks into building this. So I kind of modeled my buildings up around kind of how he had his done, and then added my own kind of touch to it. Like his had the blue, I did the red, I got the overhang. I like this corrugated outside. I've colored all my lights. I found a post on Reddit that tells you what color to make your lights RGB based on real world lights, whether it's a metal halide or mercury vapor or high pressure, low pressure sodium, daylight fluorescent, etc., etc. So I find that to be very useful, so that when you're coloring your lights for ambient lighting, it kind of matches real world. You know, I got like a light outside the man door here, some interior lighting. Really happy with how this all turned out. I think it looks really good. The tank farm, I didn't do the lights on the floor this time. I did wall lights. Kind of did the concrete a bit darker, make it look a bit more weathered. I don't know. Tell me what you think. My goal is still to get to space and search for intelligent life. But I've spent the last 2 weeks playing catch up, so I'm pretty burnt out. This has been a solid slog for sure. I've noticed in a few videos people have been using the catwalks as like a fencing. I like the way that looks. It's like a chain link fence around the generator enclosure. You don't want it to be closed in so it gets too hot. So lots of room for ventilation in here. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I got a hoard of resources up there at the base. I've got the top tier welder and grinder that I can get for being on Earth. I don't have platinum or anything like that. I did a little jetpack flight to space to check out an asteroid to see if I could find anything, but that was a bust. So this is where I'm at, and I think the next steps are going to be either building a ship to get us to space, or we can build a shipyard, or I might go and build something janky for a ship printer. But I'm really happy with how this has all turned out. I think this little complex looks really good. Really happy with it. Really sad that I lost all the progress in the other world. I had that big fancy base up in the hills before, but I think as far as everything goes, you guys will kind of see me try to slog my way through getting a ship built rather than just getting hydrogen ready to build a ship or fill the ship that I already have. So yeah, that's what we got going on. It's disappointing for sure. I'm original with my truck name, by the way. Truck. But I got hydrogen ready. I think I'm going to build the ship plant up top here. The printer. Maybe we'll grab the miner quickly and close this video with a bit of mining. But I got really lucky again with my drop. I didn't really looking forward to the whole early game slog of finding resources, so this truck used to have a large grid ore detector on it. I'll just bring this up here. Take this ship out for a quick drive. It's not the greatest ship, but it works. At least my truck I try to decorate. Oh, my batteries are on charge. There we go. This thing is janky. I don't like mining. It drives me nuts having to mine and fight with a ship, so I've got 4 large grid thrusters on here. So I went out, I ended up finding a spot right just over here. Oh, there's a little bit of an overhang there. Neat little trick, if you hold right click and then hit I and then get out, you don't have to hold your mouse button down. So anyways, I got a nice little spot of iron here. Ooh. It does have a lot of upthrust when it's empty. That was the iron, and then down here I managed to find, and this is really weird, I found iron up there. Way down here. I found a crap ton of cobalt. Like, literally, like, a lot of cobalt. Way more cobalt than I'd ever need. I've been processing cobalt for the last 3 days. It doesn't seem to ever end. And then I zipped along here. I'm just going to leave this drills mining because it's really tight, but right beside cobalt, I found an ore patch full of gold. So that's why I've got all the yield modules. This is right here. Oh, don't crash. Don't crash on video, Chris. Don't do that. That would be a rookie move. This thing is like twitchy as heck. I got like 1 or 2 gyros on it. Anyways. So that was gold, cobalt, and iron. Oh, there we hit a wall. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, see how fast this thing moves when it's empty? It's like a little rocket ship. And then just over yonder, this thing has like no directional thrust. Could use a little bit of an upgrade there. Just right here. I think this is where it was. Yes. There's a little pocket of silver. As you can see from my HUD marks. And then nickel and silicone are out there. I don't remember where I was getting my silicone from. Where was that? Right here. So one thing I'm probably going to do is I'm going to build the old vertibore. That's probably one of my favoriteest miners I've ever built, and it allows me to clear out a lot of land. I might even do the go-getter as well, because the go-getter had like 81 drills on the bottom. But yeah, there's nickel there. And I think silicon... Right, I had an asteroid of silicon that I carved up. But for the most part, my silicon has came from rock. Rock. And I am going to have to kind of get established here for some silicon, actually. And magnesium would be really nice to get. Maybe let's get some magnesium before we go. This thing just mines. It just minds its own business. See what I did there? Yeah, I'm a dad. I make bad dad jokes. Actually, I kind of want to turn myself sideways a bit. So there's not really a lot to report. It's been a busy September. Brought my trailer, or as Europeans and Australians would call it, a caravan, back from the lake, and got that all tidied up, and had my 4th year anniversary with my wonderful girlfriend. I got a case of schoolitis from the kids going to school at the beginning of September. Work's been absolutely swamped. Yeah, I'm not no full-time creator by any means. I have a full-time Monday to Friday job. So, yeah, it's been a tough slog this last month. I'm hoping now, like, our weather's changing. It's starting to get colder, and I got all my outside chores done. I'll be able to do a little bit more. Yeah, this thing can pretty much fly in any angle as long as it's not hauling material. So the thing about a mining drill ship is you want it to be able to fly at any angle. You don't want to always have to be horizontal, I found. It's important to be able to drill down, so that you can dig out. Just remember, if you're hogging out materials, you don't want to be holding on to a bunch of inventory in your cargo. I'm getting way better at piloting ships too. That comes from learning that once you've got weight, it changes everything so quickly. You know, I'm able to, I use my arrow keys or my WASD keys on my keyboard ever so slightly. Whoops, nope. As long as you don't have weight in your ship. If you build it so you can fly at any axes, I found this to be the easiest thing to do. Just round and round and round. This is why my Vertibor is such a beautiful ship, because Doom voxels. It's straight up and down diggins. But in Space Engineers, straight up and down is pretty much useless. Splitsy identified that in a video not too long ago too. All of the ore seams are pretty much on a horizontal plane, so to build a horizontal or a vertical mining ship is pretty much pointless. Because once you get to the ore layer, oh, crash. I'm not worried about right-click mining and wiping out half those voxels of magnesium. I'll just go find more. There's more than enough on Earth for any person. You have to wipe out a few voxels of your ores. And you're worried about getting every ounce of stone or kilogram of stone that, or magnesium or cobalt or iron that you can find. Actually, iron, I am a little bit more particular about iron. See, I'm just kind of, this is the way I wish I would have mined those other holes too. I was in a hurry to get resources and get things advanced, so. Just go and... This is actually a pretty healthy patch of magnesium. You watch, I'll fill this ship up in like minutes. So when I'm doing this, I'm keeping a sharp eye on the top of the screen there. You'll see the artificial horizon, kind of, or whatever you want to call it, the line in my reticle, where it's giving me my elevation, and that line. That kind of shows me my plane, how level I am, side to side, front to back. This is huge. Kind of what mining. Wonder what flying a ship would like be with a controller. All right. Oops, wrong key. So that's a pretty healthy slag of area slogged out. So I'm going to hit my one key and it's just going to turn my drills on. I'm just going to let it drill. I use Buildvision, so you'll notice that above my toolbar I've got two lines there. One looks like a backpack, and this is telling me what I've got in my ship for inventory so far. See, I'm pulling in nothing but magnesium here. Oh, and I'm starting to puke out stone. Part of the reason why I threw a lot of thrusters on my ship is you'll see that a lot of people that make a mining ship, they concern themselves with how much their ship weighs. If you're going to build a ship with capacity to haul something, cargo capacity, then build it to fly with that much weight. There's no point in having that much storage if you can't haul that much stuff in it. You'll see now. This thing is a sloth. Every time I come out of a hole. I will You'll see I'm not ejecting any stone anymore. Yeah, every time I come out of a hole, I like to clear out the voxels around it too. Now, some might argue that this creates a big world safe because voxel changes on a planet allegedly really add to your save game size. But I also like having sunlight in my hole as I'm mining. It sounded really bad. But you'll see my little backpack thing is shown on the bottom line, and then the drill line above shows nearly full. If I check my inventory, I am nearly loaded with magnesium. This thing is a sloth that needs more directional thrust for sure. But this is why I always try to stay level once I start mining, because if I was to even think of tipping this ship to the side and listing it anyway, I am done for. Now, contrary to my little green skiff that I had in the other world, I haven't crashed this once. I've had to do some repairs because I've got my batteries right on the bottom. I couldn't figure out where to put them. But this thing works. It works. It can haul all the weight that I loaded up with. I'm 150,000 kilograms. It handles like a Dodge 3500. But it's doing what it needs to do. So anyways, that's my mining ship. That's the base. You can see the refineries. There's nothing fancy about it yet. I'm humming and hawing about whether I build my ship printing yard in space or if I build it on Earth. I feel like building on Earth presents its own challenges. You know, if I build it here, I've got lots of room to build it here. I know the MHT can take off from Earth. It's just the ship printer mechanisms. And I've seen a few piston contraptions, and that's the way that everybody seems to do it. I spent some time in a creative world trying to do a wheeled barge, essentially, that moves the ship through the printer away, welders, and it clanged right out, crashed the creative world, so I don't even have that anymore. But I bounced some ideas off some people on Splitsy's community, and I recommend checking out his channel and watching his videos because the guy's a bloody genius. And yeah, I think I have an idea. Either way I build it, it's gonna be not the same as what you see everywhere else. And yeah, that's what I have to say today, folks. I'm really sorry that it's taken me so long to get a video out. I'm very sorry that it's not where we left off in the last one either, but I hope you're not too disappointed. I'm trying to bring you guys something that isn't just a tutorial style video or the same old thing that everybody else has done. So I have some really neat ideas in mind for how this printer's going to work, whether it's in space or on the planet. And it's all with the goal of finding intelligent life out in space, wherever it may be. I don't know. Oh, hello. Yeah. Well, that being said, though, this is a short video. I don't have a lot of time to edit it, so it's pretty much just a run through world tour of where I'm at, and hopefully you guys will come back and watch the next video, because since we have a hydrogen farm done, my next move of action is going to be figuring out either a spaceship to get to space and take my materials with me, or I'm leaning towards building a printer on Earth because I like the challenge of the gravity. I also like not having to fight for oxygen and use my jetpack everywhere. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Hopefully I can get something out to you in the next week or so. Have a great evening, folks. Bye.